Hi, I'm Eric Orange with Burlington County Division of Parks, and today we're at Rancocas State Park in Hainesport. This area for thousands of years was inhabited by the Native Americans, and more recently in the 20th century it was the site of a sand mining operation. But today we're going to take a look for the estate of Charles Reed. Charles Reed was a wealthy guy back in colonial America. He lived in Burlington, and he had a country estate out here along the Rancocas Creek. So let's go take a look. So as we started our trek out here to find the Charles Reed estate, we came across this area where obviously something had been digging. And we took a closer look, and you can see here that this was a turtle nest, and that something has dug up the eggs and eaten them and destroyed this nest. There's eggshell all over the place here. In the early part of the 20th century, the Hainesport Transportation and Mining Company bought this land and started mining the sand out of here. It's reported they took as much as 600,000 tons a year out of this area. And what you see behind me, this kind of dike system, is probably overburden that they would push up against the banks of the Rancocas to hold back the creek during flooding so that they were free to mine the sand here. So there's a hill that's out here in Rancocas State Park, and it's always been what I thought would be the site of Breezy Ridge, the Charles Reed estate. And as we were climbing the hill here, we came across, and if you look down here, you can see a scattering of brick and native sandstone building materials. So I think we're pretty close to where we want to be. So this piece here, not exactly sure what it is, but you can see that it's been charred. It's been in a fire, whether it was a forest fire or a house fire or something like that, but yeah, you can see that. So as you come up the rise here and proceed down the Orange Trail, this path, it's obvious that there was at one time a home here. There's scattered sandstone all over the place, stone that would have been used in a foundation. The area to my right here is a good 4 to 6 feet lower than every place else, and it's probably the cellar of the house, and it's a sizable cellar too. When we take a look at this and measure it roughly, it's about the same size as the original Smithville mansion that the Shreves built with the center hallway and 2 wings. And history tells us that that's the kind of house that Charles Reed built here on Breezy Ridge, that it was a hip roof structure and probably about that same size. And we believe this is the actual site. So almost everything we know about the forks of the Rancocas here, we know because of a report that was done about a dozen years ago by noted historian Paul Shop. And one of the things he references is that, of course, this was quite a considerable estate that Charles Reed had here. And one of the things he had here along the Rancocas Creek was a boathouse with the initials CR, Charles Reed. So Mr. Reed certainly made use of the Rancocas Creek while he stayed here at Breezy Ridge. One of the things that Paul doesn't mention in his report was the scandal that Charles Reed caused during the American Revolution, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So the first thing you have to know is that the Reed name, the Reed family, has a long and illustrious history here in Burlington County and also in Philadelphia. So there were many people named Reed. There was a Joseph Reed in Mount Holly who was a lawyer and a judge, And in December of 1776, he was taken captive by the Hessians when they invaded Mount Holly, and he was questioned. There was also Joseph Reed, who was the adjutant general to George Washington, and he was in Bristol at that time. And there was also Charles Reed of Breezy Ridge, who was a colonel in the Burlington militia. So here's where the controversy comes in. Charles Reed sought a protection order from Colonel Von Donop in Mount Holly, which he acquired. He was then promptly arrested by our hero, Colonel Griffin. So the story goes down in history, though, that it wasn't Charles Reed who sought the protection of Colonel Von Donop, but Joseph Reed, George Washington's trusted aide and advisor. And this caused a terrible rift. In fact, Dr. Benjamin Rush, after the war, thought that it was Joseph Reed who had perpetrated this traitorous act. And it wasn't until the 1850s that they actually got it all sorted out, and it was known at that point that it was indeed Charles Reed of Breezy Ridge who attained that order of protection from Colonel Von Donop. So thanks for joining us on our quest to find the Charles Reed estate. Rancocas State Park is a great park here in Burlington County, so be sure to get out there and enjoy it.